Well, thank you very much for having me here this morning, and I want to thank everybody that showed up on a gloomy day, but it's never a gloomy day in Southampton, right? I want to thank the Chamber really for hosting this. I want to thank Bessem, Don Sullivan, and Karen, and the whole entire board, and certainly everything you do, but then everything that John Betts has done to revitalize this corner of Windmill Lane, and he's adding on. So this is really becoming a fixture in our village. So I want to thank our Shippy's owner and the staff also for all that they do to help promote Southampton and getting a lot of people to come in here. John has told me that the number of people that come here from other villages on the East End is really amazing. He gets people now that come here from Sag Harbor and from much further away. And that never used to be the case. This used to be a place that was really very local. Only Southampton people sort of would come to Shippy's. He's transformed that, and now it has become a destination. So he is bringing people into this village that have not, spent as much time in the village before. And a lot have discovered Shippy's, and they're delighted that it's here. And I will add that John also has the village concession at Cooper's Beach. And you may know that last year, Cooper's Beach was voted the #1 beach in the continental United States. The reason why they say continental is because the #1 beach in the country is actually in Hawaii, but we have to give it to them. But we have the #1 in the continental United States, which I think is amazing. And I can tell you the mayor of East Hampton, the mayor of East Hampton is so upset that he sent his deputy mayor to come to Cooper's Beach to see what we were doing there, so he could take some of their ideas back to Main Beach. But anyway, so again, enough about all that, but I wanted to talk to you really about, I've been mayor now for 2 years. I wanted to talk about some of the capital projects that the village has undertaken, because we really went on a roll here to get a lot of things accomplished in the last 2 years. And our DPW staff says that they've never worked as hard as they have in the last 2 years, because I keep thinking of more projects for them to work on. But I mean, it's everything from, some small things, but as you come into the village now on North Sea Road, as you pass, 7-Eleven and McDonald's, that used to be not the most attractive entrance, especially for a village like Southampton. So I planted 24 London plane trees and added numerous street lights, the same as we have on Main Street, so that again, it looked more like you were entering the village. So I mean, that's a small thing, but again, it was something I think that really helps improve the village, and I'm seeing that I'm getting some applause from Red Horse. And Red Horse, as you know, is moving in on North Sea Road across the street from the post office. So we're delighted to have Red Horse in Southampton Village. And now people will see clearly with those lights how to get exactly to Red Horse. But we are a tree city. We've been recognized as a tree city for several years now, and I have made it one of my missions to plant over 200 trees a year in the village. Before I became mayor, we were doing less than half that in an average year. So I've stepped it up, and we will again plant another 200 plus trees this year in the village, and I think that just adds again to everyone wants to see a green town. They don't want to see a town that is barren. So we're going to continue to add trees at all the places we can find. And I do want to mention that we have an Arbor Day celebration. Part of being a tree city is you must have an Arbor Day celebration. So we are going to do it this year in front of Our Lady of the Hamptons on North Main Street, April 25th at 10 a.m. So anyone that wants to come while we plant a tree on North Main Street right in front of OLH, we'll be doing that to celebrate Arbor Day, April 25th at 10 a.m. But other projects that we've undertaken, the village actually has a lot of buildings that we own. And some people don't know that. Everyone knows Village Hall. And I see our fire chief, Polis Walker. I want to thank Polis Walker for being here. Obviously, the village owns 3 firehouses. We have the one up here across the street. We have a big one on Hampton Road, and then we have one actually in Shinnecock Hills, just outside of the village boundary and right opposite the reservation. But then again, that is another asset of the villages that, again, we must maintain. And, for many years, a lot of our assets were being neglected. But all of you that have a home know you need to maintain your house to make sure that it's not going to start deteriorating. So for this year, for the first time in decades, we put a new slate roof. Vermont slate was brought down here onto the Southampton Art Center, and some of you remember was the Parish Art Museum when it was here in the village. But that had not been done in decades and was literally leaking. And they would have to put out plastic buckets in the gallery space when they had exhibits going on to try and catch the water from the rain that was coming in the ceiling. So the village spent $500,000 putting a new slate roof and in fact doing the whole entire roof over at the Southampton Art Center. We also did that at Veterans Hall. Veterans Hall is another building that people don't know is owned by the village next to the Cultural Center. Those are all village assets, all buildings that we must maintain. So it's a large inventory that we have to take care of. But again, the Vets Hall roof was a slate roof that had deteriorated, so I had to spend $100,000 to put a new slate roof on that building. The History Museum, the Rogers Mansion, which was the former Samuel Parish homestead, right on Meeting House Lane, opposite the Presbyterian Church parking lot, that is also owned by the village. Although it's run as a history museum, we own that structure. And it had deteriorated over the years to the point that we actually applied for a grant from New York State. And New York State came through with $500,000, but the village actually had to put in $700,000. I don't know how that's an even match, but anyway, we decided to do it. So the village put in $700,000, the state put in $500,000, and if you go by there today, well, maybe today, you'll see the workers over there, and it's supposed to be in much better shape by this summer. But these are all assets of the villages. In the case of the Rogers Mansion, it's a historic asset, and we want to make sure that we maintain that. Village Hall, the same thing. We had to remediate the lead paint. Some of you probably noticed we had scaffolding up on that building all last year, or for a good portion of last year. That was to remediate the lead paint that had been painted on that building that dates back to 1911. So we did that at great expense. We then repainted it. I've now opened up the half-round window, a large half-round window on the third floor. So when you're on Main Street, on the east side of Main Street, please look up at Village Hall because it really has been transformed. We found an old postcard that depicted what Village Hall looked like. And it had that window exposed, as well as having a yardarm flagpole off of the balcony on the third floor. And I actually got our DPW guys to replace that flagpole. So now the American flag is hanging in the same place it actually hung back in 1911 when the building was built. But it looks a whole lot better, and really I would urge all of you to go by and just look at the front facade, because I think it really does look pretty good. In terms of parks, I put in a new playground at Downs Family Park. This was a park where we have a lot of the playing fields. Little League is up there now. It's just off of Flying Point Road at the eastern end of the village. And so they had always had a little playground for younger children to be there. But again, it had fallen into disrepair. So we built a whole new playground there with it's almost a fake grass, but it's turned out beautifully. And so if any of you have young children and you want to go to that park, you can certainly do that. But we're also then putting another playground. I felt like that was the playground for the eastern part of the village. I'm putting a new playground for the western part of the village in Moses Park, right there off of at the intersection of Corrigan Street. And that playground is also going to have this new fake simulation turf. And again, amazing jungle gym and all this equipment. That should be installed for the summer. So we got to keep our fingers crossed. I'm going to mount some wood here, but that should be installed by the summer. So that park will also be open for younger children. We certainly have Agawam Park. We have another park up on Hillcrest. But again, we're trying to make sure that the village has these resources, especially for younger families, that have children that want to take advantage of our parks. That park, Moses Park, will also have 2 bocce courts installed. We've heard a lot of people were interested in that, so we are going to be installing 2 bocce courts. They probably won't be in until the very end of the summer, maybe early fall. But there's a lot of work going on in Moses Park. So if you drive by there, in fact, I went there this morning to see what was going on. They're regrading the land up there. They're putting in walking trails. It's going to be a very nice park when it's finished. And Nancy Kane is here. Nancy, where are you? There she is. Nancy has rechristened this part of the village. She's rechristened this part of the village as WESO, which means Western Southampton. But this area actually has started to undergo a tremendous transformation. And part of that is John Betts here with what he's doing with Shippy's. But we also have the reopening of the Southampton Playhouse, which is fantastic to get back to movie theater. You may know that we have the only IMAX screen on the Eastern Long Island. And Mr. Gelfond, who actually developed IMAX, has a home in the village. So he specially did that IMAX theater for the village of Southampton. And if you haven't gone and seen a movie there yet, you have to do it because it's amazing to see it in IMAX with the surround sound system. But they're going to have 4 screens there. There's the IMAX, which is the biggest. Then there's another regular theater. There's a theater that actually can be rented out for private events that has its own private entrance and its own concession stand. So if you wanted to have a private screening of a movie, you could do that there. And then there's the 4th screen also has retractable seating so that you can actually use that space for other types of events aside from just watching a movie. So that they've done a fantastic job. They've spent millions upon millions of dollars, but I think that's a great addition. And then we have some stores. We have Berryville General on the corner, Wave Wellness right on Hill Street. We've got a lot of businesses that are coming into this place, and I'm happy to announce that Paul's Pizza will reopen as Village Pizza from Montauk. So if anyone knows Village Pizza in Montauk, it's pretty damn good. And that's going to be moving into Paul's Pizza. And then we also have a representative from the restaurant Sen in Sag Harbor. And they are going to open a restaurant in Southampton where Bamboo was. So, we're pleased that they've also decided to come to the village because we really think that this summer Southampton Village is really going to take off. I will also mention that the Plaza Cafe that was in the Southampton Inn property is moving to the space where Le Chef was. So that also will be reopening on Job's Lane. And that will now be called Phoenix, after the word that means the bird that rises from the ashes. So that is going to be opening on the north side of Job's Lane. And I can't say Sen's name yet. What is it?
Everyone,
Namio is going to be opening on the south side of Job's Lane, almost opposite each other. But we do have a couple of restaurants that are still available in the village, and I just want to mention those. Main Prospect is available if anyone wants to be a restaurateur and open a restaurant. That space is available right opposite the train station. And then we also have Enchanté on Hill Street, Hampton Road. That restaurant also, that space is also available if anyone wants to open a restaurant in there. Probably you remember it maybe as Red Bar, or if you're as old as I am, you remember when it was Balzerini's. That was a long time ago. But other projects that we've got going on in the village, we're doing a lot with renewable energy and solar power. We contracted with Johnson Controls. So, for example, the ambulance barn and the police station are now getting all of their energy from the solar panels that have been installed behind the ambulance barn next to the dog park. We're also putting solar panels on the Department of Public Works buildings on Willow Street. That will make that facility then also generate electricity. In fact, I asked our DPW superintendent how it was going. He said the meter is actually running backwards. So we like that. That means that we're actually going to make some money instead of having to pay LIPA as much as we do. And then you will notice too that we're putting some solar panels in the Job's Lane parking lot on the south side of Job's Lane. Right in the island there, there's going to be some additional solar power to again generate more power for the village, and I believe actually it's going to be a net gain when all of these come online. I do want to mention that across the street, late this year, we're going to have the addition of a cell tower, and we're doing that primarily because Polis Walker, as I said this year, the fire chief, we have extremely poor communications with our EMS. So it's not only police, it's our fire, and also our ambulance. They all need to work off of these systems. Motorola is the primary system. So I have signed a contract with a tower construction company to build a cell tower in the Windmill Lane parking property, firehouse, just across the street. And I have reserved the top of that for our Motorola system so that we don't have any problem with our EMS. I mean, I'll give you one story of why we had to do this. And it's not only for everyone else that has dropped calls during the summer here when there are too many people trying to use a cell phone, but that problem should be alleviated when the cell tower comes into play. Not this summer, but hopefully by summer 2026. But what we had happen last year was we had someone choking on Hampton Road. The person who tried to then call for 911 could not get service on their phone. And they literally had to run into Sip and Soda because they remembered that Sip and Soda has a payphone. And they literally had to get on the payphone at Sip and Soda to call for EMS help. So it's that kind of thing that we obviously we can't have that. So we need to be able to have communications that works for our EMS. And also, we hope that the carriers, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, will want to be on that tower as well to help provide better service to customers that are here in Southampton Village. You may have also noticed, keeping with the green theme, the bioswales we've been adding. We've been adding bioswales on Cooper's Farm Road. Right now, they look a little bit like sand traps on a golf course, but they are going to be planted later this spring. We also did one in Bowdoin Square in the middle island there. And we've been adding them, for example, this parking lot right here, the West Main parking lot, that actually now has bioswales all in the islands. And so when the water runs off the parking lot, it actually goes into those center islands and basically filters through the plants and everything, and actually is cleaned that way, and is a much better runoff, stormwater runoff, than if we just had it run into a gutter and end up in Lake Agawam. So we're continuing with some of these bioswales, and then getting back to Lake Agawam, we have two projects that we're going to be undertaking at Lake Agawam to try and clean that water up. One is what's known as a permeable reactive barrier, a PRB, which basically they drill holes, they fill the holes with wood chips and other type of material, and then the groundwater, that all the groundwater in the village goes south into Lake Agawam. And we only are on septic, so this isn't really a good discussion for breakfast, I'm sorry. But the wood chips and the material that they use in these holes will actually prevent the groundwater from running directly into Lake Agawam. And then the final thing that we're going to do shortly, hopefully later this year, I finally got the DEC permit and the EPA permit. We're going to put 3 algae harvesters in Dozier Park, right next to the Job's Lane parking lot, that are going to be able to filter 3 million gallons of water in Lake Agawam a day. And if we have that run for, a couple of years, I've been told that the water will be amazingly clean. But that's not to say that we still don't need a sewer system. And so we are still working on locating a location for the sewage treatment plant. The problem with that is we need 3 acres. The building is not that big, but the leaching fields underground, which you won't even see, take up about 3 acres to handle the entire central business district. So it's been very challenging for us to find 3 acres in close proximity where you're not going to be right next to somebody's house and they're going to tell you they don't want it next to them. So we're looking at a few properties still. Some are up towards County Road 39, which we hope will not have as many people complain if they're on County Road 39. But if that system is actually brought on, we will, and John doesn't want to hear this, we'll be actually able to have more restaurants in Southampton Village. And we'll also be able to have apartments on the second story. Because right now, the Suffolk County Board of Health says that the village is completely maxed out. We can't add more restaurants, we can't add more apartments until we have a sewer system to treat the effluents. So again, we're working on that. It's unfortunately going to be a few more years, but I'm hopeful that we'll get there. So some of the things that I talked about last year, for any that were here, that we're actually going to be finally realizing this year is, I talked about doing art in the alleyways to try and make the alleys between the main shopping streets and the parking lots look a little bit more attractive. And I finally have the first plan for a mural to go on the wall opposite Hildreth's on the north side of Hildreth's. There's a little alleyway there. And Jason Faremba, a captain in our fire department, who is also an artist, is going to paint a 40-foot long mural on that wall to make it just a little more exciting and inviting so people can walk through that alleyway to get to the back parking lot or to their cars or to the stores on Main Street, and it'll just be a little more interesting. We're looking at other properties now in the village on Job's Lane and elsewhere where we can also do that. Just to bring a little more excitement to these areas that are kind of forlorn looking at the moment. And the History Museum is also working on a walking tour of the village. It would be a self-guided tour that you would be able to do on your phone with QR codes, and it would take you, for example, to the Halsey House, to the Pelletreau Silversmith, to the History Museum, to the African American Museum up on North Sea Road. And so it's going to basically be a guided tour that you can go on that will tell you different historic sites or points of interest in the village. Some of it will be able to walk to it, and then we'll have some ones a little further, for example, like the Dune Church down on Gin Lane, that you'd have to be able to drive to, although if you wanted a long walk, you could walk to it. But so it's going to be all these different points of interest in the village that you're going to be able to go see, and we hope that this will attract people also to come to the village and see again the history and the points of interest that we have here in the village. Finally, we continue to work with the Combined Veterans Organization, who do an amazing job putting on our Memorial Day and our Veterans Day in Agawam Park. That will be coming up very soon. Memorial Day is not that far away. The 4th of July parade is huge. We have the largest 4th of July parade on Long Island. And I want to ask everyone for a little help because we are struggling. The last few years, the parade has lost money. And we need to raise some additional money for that 4th of July parade. That is really put on as a charity. It is not sponsored by the village. I mean, you get a tax deduction if you donate to the 4th of July parade. But we're looking to increase participation from volunteers as well as donors because we really need some help to keep that going. And I mean, it's iconic. I remember going there when I was like 5 years old and sitting on the corner of Job's Lane watching the parade go by. And we definitely have to keep that going. So we're looking for volunteers and donations, and certainly if anyone would like to speak afterwards to Karen Bontempo, my assistant, or Nancy Kane, our communications director, they can certainly help. And Southampton Fest is coming up the first weekend of October. We decided it's better to do it the first weekend of October before Columbus Day weekend, but also after September. So this year, Southampton Fest will be held on October 3rd and 4th. And it'll start with a kickoff by the Rotary. And again, we're hoping to have lots of stuff going on that weekend, and we pray for the weather we had last year, which was spectacular. We want that to be like that this year. And our fire department gets out with the ladder truck, and you get rides up in the ladder. I did that, Polis. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was. A great view of the village from up there. So I would encourage people to come to that. And then finally, you all know that an event that's become like one of the biggest events in Southampton Village is the Parade of Lights, which is held the Saturday after Thanksgiving. It's sort of the kickoff of the Christmas season now in Southampton Village. And we have fire departments from Riverhead to Montauk show up. They decorate their fire trucks with lights, and they go around the entire village. And we literally last year, I think, had several thousand people in this village. It was unbelievable how many people came to the village. And one of the best parts is that you get to Agawam Park, we light the Christmas tree there, and then we have fireworks. And the fireworks are set to music over Lake Agawam, and it really is spectacular. So that actually has been making money. That's been doing extremely well. But again, that's a charity. There's a committee that does that, headed by Andrew Polaro and Mark Parrish of Sip and Soda. And they do a great job with that. And that really is really a spectacular event. So I would encourage you all to participate in that. Finally, I just want to add that even doing all these things, the village this year, we just handed in our budget, and the budget is actually not increasing property taxes 1 penny. So we're doing this all by keeping taxes completely flat. We've worked very hard to be able to craft this budget so we can do all the things that we need to do and yet not increase taxes. So I would just like to end, I know you probably shouldn't get so political, but I do want to announce right here, Election Day is June 20th, 2025, and I am running for re-election, so I'm announcing that. For election because all these projects I spoke about, I need to get them finished. So I need another 2 years to get them done. So again, I appreciate you all sponsoring this event and having me here today. And I know people want to eat their breakfast, and I'll be quiet. And so thank you very much. I guess I could take a couple of questions if people want to do questions, so we could do them later. What do people want to do?
We do a lot with small businesses at our location, really helping them thrive through all different changes, and we're here if you guys need anything at all.
So thank you so much for having us. Just hearing all of the wonderful things that are going on in the community, it really makes me excited to be here and be a part of the chamber. Having a sense of community is something that's so important to me. So being able to be here and be a part of this, I'm really grateful for it. And any way that we can support you guys in your businesses and be there for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're really happy to be here and support you guys through everything this summer. So, let's make it a great season, and thank you guys for sharing the day with us.
But, I, as a small business owner, can relate with all of you that it's really hard to hire people. And one of the biggest problems is just the transportation. People constantly telling you that it's just hard to get to work here. With the traffic, it's a huge problem in the village. So, can I just get a show of hands? How many people know what the South Fork Commuter Connection program is? Just found out. All right, so like 4 people in this room. So that's not great. So that's why I'm really glad that we're here today. This is an awesome opportunity to just make sure that more people know about this program. So first, I just want to introduce Tom Neely, who is formerly with the town of Southampton. He currently consults with the town. He's been completely instrumental in bringing this program to life. It's a program that is funded by the town of Southampton with funding from the state of New York that was originally appropriated and found by Fred Thiel, our recently retired assemblyman. What the program does is it allows people who work in the town of Southampton and in East Hampton, it works there too, to park their cars in Spionk, West Hampton, or Hampton Bays. They jump on the train there, they get on the train, they zoom past all the traffic, and then when they get to the train station in Southampton, Bridgehampton, East Hampton, or Amagansett, they hop on one of our Hampton Hopper buses, and we will bus them to wherever they work. The whole fare for that whole system is $3.25 each way, so you can go round trip for $6.50. And this program basically is here to alleviate traffic. It's here to make it easier for your employees to get to work. And so anybody that's interested in this program that wants to come talk to us, please come talk to us. Rob here is our general manager. He runs the show. He runs a well-oiled machine here. But you may be wondering, well, how can I get the bus to stop at my business? How do I get going with this? How do I even begin? Just come talk to us. We're in charge. We make these routes to try to work with as many businesses as possible. We're trying to make it easy for your employees to get to and from work. People have apprehension about not having their cars, leaving their cars. In reality, Once you try it, you say, hey, this is actually pretty easy, and the fear goes away very quickly, and it gets really nice when you're just sitting on the train for 15 minutes every morning. You can get to play on your phone without having to sit in an hour of traffic. So people get to like it really fast, so I encourage you to come talk to us. I have schedules here. Did I miss anything?
No, you have the handouts, and you can also go to the Town of Southampton website.
Yep.
Just go in and Google South Fork Commuter Connection or SFCC, and you can find all the information on the Town of Southampton website with the schedules, the bus schedules, the train schedules, how the service works. And it's taking hundreds of cars off the road every single day.
Yep. And I'll just add that recently collectively, really the town and Fred Thiel have secured place in the MTA's capital budget to add more train track capacity. That's historically been a big limiter of this program because there's only one train track in and out of the East End here. And the problem with that is obviously you can't have two trains passing each other on the same track. So that has always limited the number of trains. That's why we don't have more trains operating more hours. So that's not happening anytime soon, I would say, but eventually in the coming, I would say decade, hopefully sooner, there's going to be more capacity. We should see more frequent trains. But until that happens, this program's already, the trains are stopping in Southampton at 6:30 and 8:30 in the morning. They're leaving at 5:30 for 9 to 5 workers. This is a great program. I know that a lot of people have, different hours that maybe don't work as well. Come talk to us. We have creative solutions. We did something with the hospital to do a late bus. We want to talk to you. I'll shut up now. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I'd just like to add one thing if I could. I was the president of the Southampton Chamber of Commerce a number of years ago, and I just think it's great how many people are turning out. I think the Chamber is doing a fabulous job. Thank you. And the mayor and all the things that are going on in the village, having worn that hat years ago, I think it's great, and I know you all support the Chamber, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So folks, I'd just like to add one thing. Sorry, there's 9 of us, so there's 6 more outside. We'll be quick, we'll be done by 12. But anyway, I just want to point out one thing. A lot of people say, the Long Island Railroad, it's not the most reliable service. Okay, there are hiccups, especially when they're waiting for a train to come from coming into Montauk. It might hold up the train coming out. If there is a problem with the train, okay, as the guy who runs the Hampton Hopper business and is responsible for these last mile shuttles, we guarantee that these people will get back. Your employees will get back to their cars. Even if the train breaks down or anything goes wrong, we will still go through all our afternoon routes. We communicate with all the riders. They all have my cell number. The business owners have my cell number. We communicate with them. If they see there's a problem with the train, don't worry. Send your employees to the bus. We'll get them back. Okay? Doesn't matter if the train's running or not running. We'll get them back. So if anybody gives you that concern, I heard sometimes the train's not always reliable, we will get them back with the buses. That's my job. So I just wanted to make that clear. All right?